we are here today, guys, to learn about from Irina Jarova, who joins in from Digital Dive Marketing and is the president and founder of Digital Dive Marketing. She has been leading the business, and I'm very pleased to have her on the show today. Irina, welcome to Platform Presents.
Thank you. Glad to be here. I appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. Tell us about your company. What is it all about?
Awesome. So Digital Dive Marketing was started, we're now in our 4th year, and it was really started for professionals and particularly business to business. My background was in the legal space. So when I came out, I started first working with attorneys, and that was my first kind of niche. And so I learned a lot from doing that. But as I evolved the company and as things started moving, we then moved into the professional services market. So what we do is we're really a holistic approach to digital marketing for our clients. And we focus primarily on everything digital marketing. So the idea of helping you get online is our goal.
Okay, very cool. You mentioned already a couple of verticals there that you're working with. Would you mind to sort of tell us a little bit about more what types of businesses, what verticals are those in, and maybe, how big are they? Just like if the listeners can see if they sort of, are they in that bucket or are they not? Maybe tell us a bit about that.
Sure. So we work with a lot of solos, we work with a lot of small firms, and we are working with some mid-sized firms, all in the professional services markets. So you're really looking at the financial space, the legal space, insurance. The typical client that we get, they don't believe in digital marketing. They need a little bit of convincing that it could work for them. So they typically rely on personal relationships. They're typically experts in their field. They typically rely on referrals, and those are inconsistent. So those are our clients, and we work with a variety of company sizes, but for the most part, we are really niched in that small business owner.
Got you. And to which degree do you support them? Is that like bringing traffic to their web pages, or is it even building up their websites? So which spectrum are you covering?
Yeah. So we really want to position ourselves as our client's digital partner. So we really are the kind of, forefront to them getting online in all ways. So one is building their website. That was actually the first service that we started with, and we still continue to do that today. So yes, we will go ahead and build you a great website, everything that you need in order to be able to have a great storefront. Yes, we do bring traffic to the website as well. So we do search engine optimization. And then we also do paid advertising. But our secret sauce and one of the kind of main services that we offer right now is LinkedIn management, which allows for our clients to be able to really not only identify their target and who they really need to reach, but also to start conversations with decision makers. And so we have 3 levels of service for that to be able to really accommodate whether they're just getting started, whether they're a seasoned professional, or whether it's an enterprise. So for that service, we have 3 different levels for every budget. I think it's important because, at some point we're all just getting started, and at other times we have things moving and we really need extra support. So we were able to see that from the different clients that we have, and that's why we created these 3 different services, and those are all specifically for business to business lead generation.
Understand. Very cool. Helping the team there to really use all the power of LinkedIn through them.
Oh, yes. And it is a powerful platform. And I think that, especially for any non-believers in digital marketing, just, come try us out for a month and you'll see that, we'll make you a believer.
Very cool. How do the current believers, so your current clients, how do they find you? Like, what's a typical way, a user journey of somebody, identifying and learning about digital dive marketing and then getting started?
Yeah, so actually, we ourselves use the LinkedIn platform, and that's one of our major ways of interacting with our clients. And again, the reason that happened, I would say, is because when I was getting started in my first year, I needed to solve my own kind of lead generation problem, of not wanting to, I didn't have a great big budget. I also at that time didn't know exactly what service I would be providing either. I just knew it was under the umbrella of digital marketing. So I needed something where I can pivot quickly. I can choose the market that I want to go after, and I can also test a lot of different messages to see which one is the one that's going to captivate my audience. So the first thing I did was I solved my own problem, basically. And so I became a believer first, I guess you would say that. And then after that is when I was able to go out into the marketplace. And, honestly, when I was consulting different clients, it just came up like, this is something that we need, and this is something that we don't have. We don't have these systems. We don't have these processes. And as I started to talk to clients, and I was doing a lot of consulting in the first 2 years of my business, and I was able to hear clients' concerns. And then finally, I just said, well, why don't we do what we know works for us for our clients? And so, kind of rolled it out to those consulting clients first. And once they started getting meetings and appointments with decision makers, then we were able to go out into the marketplace. And so last year we super bunkered down on this whole LinkedIn management, because it was something that was providing very, very quick results for clients. And so, we were just actually shocked at how that all came about. So now these clients of mine, we're really growing with them. So now we're listening to the concerns, like what are their next concerns? And that's really where, it's okay, I want to redo my website. Okay, I want to bring traffic to my website. I want this kind of traffic. So, so that's what we do for our clients. We really grow with our clients. And so the next phase is, we're starting to do some videos. And so that's why I agreed to this, because I'm a guinea pig for all things when I first get started and before I'm introducing a new service into the marketplace. So this is something else that I'm doing right now, content marketing. I held out for 3 years, and I know that it's important, and I know that I eventually need to get into the game. So we're doing it this year.
Awesome. Very cool. You're actually doing it right now. Very good.
Yes, I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm excited.
Awesome. Two points on that, actually, two questions. At first, it's very great to see that you actually have done the service first and then providing it. In a lot of interviews, people come with the sentence of, that they're providing it for somebody, but not for themselves. So I think it's really great to see that you guys are actually using it for your own business. So that's...
Yeah, because my business model is very similar to my clients. I'm myself a B2B service-based provider, and those are exactly what my clients do. They're different consultants providing their services. They're different professionals in these different niches. And so they're very similar. And that's why we're able to find commonality and why we use our own service.
Very good. One last question on LinkedIn before we sort of talking more about the websites. Anything that you've learned that a lot of people miss? Maybe one little nugget that you can share that people should be doing on LinkedIn but not doing because there's more messages hitting the inboxes, obviously. Mm-hmm. Maybe a small thing that...
Yeah, when I started 4 years ago, it was like people were just completely, they didn't know what was going on. Now, we've heard through the wire, like, oh, wait a minute, I think LinkedIn works. I think it's really great. I hear people are generating business there. How do I do it? So, so one thing I will say about LinkedIn is that it's not the platform, it's not the software, right? It's messaging. That's going to be key. Knowing your audience and knowing what they need to hear is the most important. And that's why, when clients come to me and everything like that, they'll say, oh, well, why we just want to do it ourselves and da-da-da. And I go, well, okay, go try it. And they do. And they're like, it doesn't work. And I'm like, it's not working because you don't know the secret sauce, which is actually, the formula is the copywriting. It doesn't matter where it's at, right? Whether it's on your website, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's, copywriting. And I think that's one of the skills that we really excelled at because we had to, right? Because we wanted to get our clients' attention. And then for our clients, we really want to get, more messages and more positive responses for them. more engagement. We want to get them, basically we want to help them get clients, right? So we need to understand what is the head turning message that's going to make all the difference. So that's what we look for.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit towards the websites. When you're working with clients on the websites, what do you usually see in terms of maybe conversion rate? Is that a topic that you work with them on how to generate more leads, more demos, more trials, whatever it is from their website?
Absolutely. The website is so important. It's your storefront, right? So if you don't have one, then that's questionable. So I think everyone at this point knows they need to have a website, right? When you're getting started, that's like the one thing. But the other thing is to be able to have a website that you're proud of. You don't know how many people that I talk to where, I look at their website and I actually thought it was pretty good. And then I talk to them and they're like, oh, no, don't look at my website. It's terrible. It's horrible. And then now I'm second guessing, I'm questioning like, oh, okay, well, maybe it's not that great, right? So what we do when we are working on websites is we want to make sure that you love it, because if you, the business owner, loves it, you're going to be more likely to tell people about your business. You're going to be more likely to share that website. And again, sharing is caring. How are people going to find out about you, right? You're also going to feel really good about driving traffic to your website because you know that it's something that, something that you're proud of. And the other part, other than being proud of it, meaning that you have great branding, great design, you've worked with some great artists, all of that. The second part is that it does need to be mobile friendly. I mean, I think this is kind of like, we get that, but again, sometimes we don't see the point in investing in something because we're like, oh yeah, I'll get to that. But here's the deal. It doesn't matter what business you're in. It's all about having a mobile friendly website. I want to be able to do a lot of things on your site right then and there. One, I want to be able to get my information that I came there to get. So if it's hard for me to get that information, I'm going to leave. The other thing is I want to get my information and I want to be able to, move on to the next step, which is like you mentioned, schedule a demo or schedule a call or one of those things. And if I'm not able to quickly do that, again, from my mobile phone, chances are you're probably eliminating a lot of prospects.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I spent 4 years with Google on their mobile page optimization team. So I'm all with you. Couldn't agree more.
And I didn't even talk about optimization, but that's like a whole different ballgame, right? But the first thing is you need to have a solid foundation. That's kind of where I was at.
Perfect. Very cool. Anything that since we're talking a bit about conversions here, anything that you've learned that surprised you, like why, maybe something that is a bit uncommon that you've seen that actually worked for clients to get more, demos, trials, leads from their website?
From the website, I realized that, search engine optimization is not as competitive as I thought it was. When I first entered the marketplace and I started talking to, some bigger clients, they had mentioned to me like, oh yeah, we spend like $100,000 a month on our advertising and stuff like that. So I automatically, as a new business owner, was like kind of fell back and I was like, oh, well, it's not going to work for me because I don't have $100,000 a month to put into my kind of optimization and whatnot. But as I got more and more into the space and I started working on clients and I started optimizing my own site and all of those things, I realized that there's actually not as many businesses doing it as we think they're doing it, right? So we think like it's all been done, it's all been said, everybody knows everything. And then the more and more that I get out into the marketplace, the more and more I realize that actually people are kind of like stopping themselves. They're their own blessing blockers, if you want to call it, because they automatically think that they can't be part of the game. It's too late. It's all been done. It's all been said. I'm just gonna, be the victim and not take a step forward and not try. They're not even trying, right? So that was one of the things that really surprised me is the fact that if you have a solid strategy, if you're working with a team that, knows what they're doing, you're actually going to see results. So when my clients started telling me like, oh my God, like, I'm on Google Analytics, I'm looking at these numbers, they're off the charts, like this is so exciting. I got excited because I also kind of didn't believe that it could work, like in the back of my mind, I was like, I don't know, like we're smaller companies, maybe this isn't going to work. I had that fear in the back when I was getting that first client up and running with search engine optimization. But nope, there's people clicking around, there's people looking for information. And if they happen to find your site, you want to make sure that you take full advantage of making sure to convert that visitor into a prospect.
I couldn't agree more again. It's probably in 3 years from now, people are going to say, I should have started once the corona was around, but it didn't. So yeah, 100% with you.
Just starting. Yeah, I think it's so hard to just start, right? And if you're not at least like working with another company that's, optimizing your site for you, then you know that Google loves content. If you don't know that, now you know Google loves content. So one of the things that we're doing right now with our content strategy is we're actually taking the videos that we create, and because it's hard to write a blog, if you're not like a writer, so we're taking the content, the videos that we're creating, and then we're basically creating a text version of it, and we're going to be putting that on our website. And so this way, that's something that everybody can do, whether you understand backlinking or you don't need to. You can already start by just having the .com, by regularly providing content on that .com will already get you ready so that when you are hiring a team to optimize your site, it's going to be that much easier. Because if it's a brand new site, a brand new .com or any other domain, but if it's a brand new one, plus you've not really, had any visitors to the site at all, then what's going to end up happening is it's going to take much longer versus an existing website that you have been trying to optimize yourself will still win out and get you much quicker results when you do get a team in place to help you optimize it.
Yep, 100%. What do you see as a last question on the website sort of topic? What do you see as the typical challenge that the companies that you encounter have in order to win more leads from the page, right? Because what we see very often is, you drive a lot of traffic, but then, only a certain percentage is going to leave their phone number, the email, whatever it is. Like, what have you seen as the major challenges for the businesses that you encounter in order to successfully complete that step?
That is a challenge, right? It's the same challenge everywhere. And that's why I say make sure to differentiate your portfolio, right? You have to have multiple sources of driving traffic to yourself, as you want to call it. So it is your storefront. You do have people coming in. There's people who are just kind of browsing by and walking away, versus others who are ready to take action. So what we have found is that having some kind of a, maybe a smaller step to conversion is great, where maybe you can have them sign up for some kind of a, downloadable item or some kind of it's not really clickbait, but something that captures them right when they get to your website. We found that chatbots are really great. It's actually something that I'm experimenting with right now. I just got my first chatbot, so I'm going to look into, what you're offering as well to see how that compares. So essentially, it is a challenge, but like with all things, if it's, like what's not challenging, right? So I think that that is definitely one that we find too, is like how to not just get the traffic to the site, but how to get it to convert.
Very good. One last question on sort of data that we're just starting to talk about a little bit, right? Like conversion and data. There is the analytics part of it, right? And tools like Google Analytics, they're full of data. There's a lot of insights that you could get. But then on the other hand, it's sometimes challenging to identify the actionable steps, right? How do you help your clients to get actionable insights from all the data that they can be collecting with those tools?
So, I get what you're saying, but here's the thing, like if you know the core things that you need to know about your business, you'll be able to read the data. Mm-hmm. So the core things you need to know about your business is first and foremost your niche, like who is your audience? Because then you can read the data and say, wait, we're getting this other audience and it's not who we're after, right? So that's a great way to be able to read the data is, are we even getting the right type of traffic? So that's one thing. The second thing is you really do need to know your unique selling proposition, like what makes you different in the marketplace. And it needs to be very clear for, all over your kind of marketing materials as well. And clearly on your website, what makes you different, so that when you are looking at data again, you're thinking, okay, well, when we had, this front page, it was converting like this. And when we have this front page, it's converting like this, right? So being able to read the data is important, but only if you know the business, right? Like what you're trying to achieve, the goals and everything like that. And then the last one is to really just not only depend on that, that data, right? But to take that data and then say, okay, well, let's see if we run, a campaign, right? And we instead bring this traffic to a squeeze page and a landing page, like, is that going to convert better? If it is, then like, let's do that, right? So it just depends, like when you want to drive traffic to your website or when you want to drive traffic to a specific landing page. Maybe, for example, there's one service that you offer that is, way more profitable for you. And maybe it's also scalable, right? That's called a minimum viable offer. So a lot of clients that I know, they don't know these three things about their businesses. They don't know their niche, or their niche. I don't know. Everyone says it differently, right? They don't know exactly their target audience, right? So like, that's like red flag, stop. Like we got to figure it out, right? Then they really also, they've never thought about these concepts before, like, ideal clients and stuff like that. They're like, wait a minute, but like, I thought the point was to serve everybody, right? Because then the more people you serve, the bigger your business grows. And it's like, it's actually the opposite. Like if you don't know your market and you don't know your people, you don't know like exactly who you're serving, it's kind of like the idea that, if you try to go after everybody, you get nobody, right? So these are some of the concepts that people need to know first and foremost before going and looking at the data, because the data by itself is not going to make any sense without really knowing these things in your business and also having a strategy and a game plan for what you're trying to achieve. Like if you don't know those things, then the data is useless. Yep. So to be able to read the data, we actually first make sure that the client and ourselves were clear on the goals, the objectives, all of those things. And then suddenly the data makes more sense. That's what I have found.
Very interesting. You see the data in a completely different light than you would have seen without having all those insights. Very good.
Yeah, without understanding. Yeah, because otherwise you're just looking at numbers and then that definitely doesn't make any sense.
Very good. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about you as a leader in the business a little bit. Tell me about sort of the type of content that you consume or the places where you educate yourself, or people, books, whatever it is. Like, where do you feel you actually learn a lot?
So when I first started my business, I was consuming a lot of learning materials. I was basically like every online guru you can think of. I probably took a course from them, like every single one of them, right? Like there's not one that I didn't, there was no rock that I didn't overturn, so to speak. And then I started to just basically pick up on trends. And then when I started to talk to my market, I realized I was getting way better insight. So I started learning from my clients. I started learning from my partnerships. I started learning from the conversations I was having, even with prospects. If you have the right type of sales strategy, that was one thing I was very concerned about coming into the marketplace. I did not want to do sales like everybody else. I didn't like sales. I didn't think, I didn't understand sales in the beginning. And so I really was like, I got to make sure that my sales is not salesy, right? So by creating a process of being able to provide assessments to prospects, I learn firsthand information. So I feel like what better place to learn than from the source? So because I'm talking to professionals who've been in the market for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, they're giving me, it's like reading a book almost, but from a person, and it's been incredible, like the things I've learned, because a lot of it has come directly from my clients. So that is now one of the kind of like the number one source of information that I get is I just know how to ask the right questions. but I'll still, read books. So if I find something, I think the algorithms know that I'm a digital marketer because I'm constantly being bombarded with digital marketing. And if there's an ad that grabs me, I always make a note of the ad first because I want to also kind of stay in the game as far as what's working and what's converting. But yeah, I totally I am that person that goes through the funnel, that buys it. Then when they try to upsell you, they upsell me, all of that. So if they get me, that means that there's something there for me to learn. And I'm doing that much less than when I first started my business. But because that was the gateway for me to learn from others, I just continue to do it that way.
Very interesting. What's a topic that you would have maybe sort of focused on or researched most recently? Maybe one topic that you were really focused on?
I think, because I just am starting to do content marketing, that was something that I had started to research about. So usually what I try and do is actually, for the most part, I try to silence a lot of things. So even now I was on the call with you, and then I realized that my phone wasn't on silent. And so the first thing I had to do was that. So I think more than anything right now, what I'm trying to figure out more and more is how do I eliminate things? Because I just end up doing, because you only have 24 hours in the day. So you can't be everything for everyone to everyone, So that's been a challenge, I think. And so I know this has nothing to do with what you asked, but basically that's where my concerns are right now is how do I eliminate things? How do I do less? How can I be more productive with doing less? That's really where I'm at. So all of the books that I'm getting right now are probably around productivity.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that completely answers the question. Very good. So let's switch gears one more time and hit into the rapid fire questions. It would basically be a handful of questions where we have maybe a word or a sentence of an answer. How does it sound to you?
Will be challenging for someone like me. Let's do it.
Okay, cool. So for your company, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the word marketing operations?
Efficient.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the word sales operations?
Non-salesy.
What's the one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Conversion, optimization. Sorry.
That's fine. That counts as one word.
Okay.
If there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be one thing that you would want to have fixed for your company today? Or for your clients?
Can you define boundaries? There was no boundaries.
So there's nothing that can't be done with technology. And if you're thinking about your clients, what would you with a snap of a finger would fix for them? If there would be one thing.
Oh, this is tough. There was no the one thing I would do is I would get them to realize that we actually have technology, because I think a lot of my clients are still depending on traditional, referrals and face-to-face interactions.
Yeah, okay, very good answer. What's the last thing that kept you awake at night about your company?
Just worrying about whether I'm doing a good job as a leader.
Okay. And the very last question, if you would be sort of stepping out the door today, this is your first day running Digital Dive Marketing, what is one advice that you would give yourself?
That's a good one. Try before anything else. So try more, don't limit yourself to doing something only when you feel like you're 100% ready. So don't wait. Just, go out there and try to do something first, because that's the best way to learn. So I think that's the difference, is I did hold myself back a lot, and I was not confident, and that's one thing I would say is what believe it or not, even though you don't think you know everything, you know more than a lot of other people. So believe in yourself and, go forth.
Very good. Guys, there you have it. Irina sharing her story about her company, how she is educating herself, how she's learning straight up from her clients,
Mhm.
how actually what she's been using for her business, like a LinkedIn strategy, turned actually into much more and has helped her clients and her team's clients quite a bit. So, Irina, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for being part of Pathwing Presents today and being part of this
Thank
episode.
you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.